when Jungkook longed for Jimin's love. The evening had already settled over Seoul when Jungkook found himself standing alone beside the large window of the practice room. Outside, the city was glowing with thousands of lights, but he barely noticed them. His attention was fixed on the reflection in the glass. He looked tired. Not because of rehearsals, not because of the long hours. There was something else weighing on his heart, something he had been trying to ignore for a long time. Behind him, the practice room door slowly opened. Jungkook. He immediately recognized the voice. Jimin. Oh, you're still here. Jimin walked inside, holding 2 bottles of water. He looked at Jungkook for a moment before handing one to him. You are too. Jungkook accepted the bottle. I wanted to stay a little longer. You said that yesterday. I know. And the day before yesterday. Jungkook laughed softly. You keep track. Jimin smiled. Of course I do. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The room was quiet except for the faint sound of traffic outside. Jimin sat on the floor near the mirror. You've been quiet lately. I'm always quiet. No, you're not. Jungkook looked at him. What do you mean? You're usually loud when you're comfortable. You joke around. You tease everyone. You make strange sounds for no reason. Jungkook laughed. Strange sounds? Yes, exactly those strange sounds. Jungkook sat beside him. Maybe I'm growing up. Jimin raised an eyebrow. That would be suspicious. They both laughed. But when the laughter disappeared, Jungkook became serious again. Jimin noticed. Jungkook. Is something bothering you? Jungkook stared at the floor. There were many answers he could have given. He could have said he was tired. He could have blamed the schedule. He could have said he needed sleep. Instead, he whispered maybe. Jimin leaned closer. Do you want to talk about it? Jungkook hesitated. That was the problem. He wanted to talk. He had wanted to talk for months. But every time he imagined telling Jimin what was inside his heart, fear stopped him. What if everything changed? What if Jimin misunderstood him? What if the closeness they already had disappeared? Jungkook took a deep breath. Jimin. Yeah. Do you ever want something so badly that you become afraid to ask for it? Jimin's expression softened. All the time. What do you do? I usually pretend I don't want it. Jungkook smiled sadly. That sounds like you. Jimin looked at him. What? Because you're good at hiding things. Jimin became quiet. Maybe you are too. Their eyes met. For one long moment, Jungkook couldn't look away. There was something unspoken between them. Something fragile. Something neither of them knew how to name. Jimin finally broke the silence. Is this about someone? Jungkook's heart jumped. What? You said you want something. Maybe. Something or someone. Jungkook looked away. Maybe someone. Jimin swallowed. Do I know them? Jungkook smiled faintly. Very well. Jimin's eyes widened slightly. Oh, the word came out almost like a whisper. Jungkook immediately regretted saying it. He stood up. I should go. Jimin quickly grabbed his wrist. Wait. Jungkook stopped. Why are you running away? I'm not. You are. Jungkook looked down at Jimin's hand around his wrist. For a moment, neither moved. Then Jimin slowly released him. Saw the... Jungkook shook his head. Don't be. He sat down again. Jimin looked at him carefully. Is the person important to you? Jungkook nodded. Very. Do they know? No. Why haven't you told them? Jungkook took a breath. Because I don't know what they would say. Jimin looked toward the mirror. Maybe they feel the same way. Jungkook turned toward him. You think so? Maybe. What if they don't? Then at least you would know. Jungkook smiled. You make it sound easy. It isn't. Then why are you telling me to do it? Because sometimes keeping something inside hurts more than hearing an answer you don't want. Jungkook stared at him. Those words stayed in his mind. For years, their friendship had been filled with moments that seemed ordinary to everyone else. Late-night conversations, shared jokes, arguments over food, long rehearsals, quiet rides home. Moments when one of them would notice the other was tired without needing to ask. To Jungkook, those moments had gradually become something more precious than he could explain. He didn't know exactly when it happened. Maybe it was one small moment. Maybe it was thousands. Maybe love, if that was what he was feeling, didn't arrive like thunder. Maybe it arrived quietly. One smile at a time. One conversation at a time. One memory at a time. Jimin looked at him. Whoever this person is, I hope they understand how lucky they are. Jungkook smiled. What? Because you don't give your heart easily. Jungkook's expression changed. Maybe I already gave it away. Jimin became completely still. What? Jungkook immediately looked down. Nothing. No, you said something. I was just talking. You're terrible at pretending. Jungkook laughed nervously. So are you. Jimin smiled. Then maybe we should both stop pretending. The sentence hung in the air. Jungkook looked at him. Maybe we should. Neither spoke again. The next morning, the atmosphere was completely different. Jungkook arrived early at the studio. He expected to feel embarrassed after the conversation. Instead, he felt strangely calm. Perhaps because he had finally allowed himself to admit the truth. He wanted Jimin's love. Not necessarily in the way people imagined. Not in some dramatic fantasy. He wanted the feeling of being important to Jimin. He wanted to know that when Jimin was happy, he wanted to share it with him. When he was sad, Jungkook could be there. He wanted their bond to remain something special. And perhaps, deep inside, he wanted to hear Jimin say that he felt the same. The door opened. Good morning. Jimin entered. Jungkook looked up. Morning. Jimin smiled. You came early. So did you. I always come early. No, you don't. Ido. You were late yesterday. That doesn't count. It absolutely counts. Jimin laughed. For a moment, everything felt normal. But both of them remembered the previous night. Jimin placed his bag down. Jungkook. About yesterday. Jungkook's smile disappeared. Yeah. I've been thinking. Jungkook's heart began beating faster. About what I said? Yes. And Jimin looked nervous. I think I know who you were talking about. Jungkook couldn't move. You do? Jimin nodded. I think so. Jungkook lowered his eyes. And what do you think? Jimin walked closer. I think you're afraid. Jungkook laughed softly. That's not an answer. I know. Then what is? Jimin stood quietly in front of him. The answer is that I'm afraid too. Jungkook looked up. What? Because I don't want to lose what we already have. Jungkook's voice became softer. You wouldn't. How do you know? Because I don't want to lose it either. Jimin smiled. That doesn't make things less complicated. No. Then what do we do? Jungkook thought for a moment. Maybe we don't have to decide everything today. Jimin nodded. I like that. They sat together. No dramatic confession followed. No perfect answer appeared. Instead, they talked. They talked about friendship, about trust, about fear, about the pressure of being watched by people who believed they knew everything about them. They talked about how difficult it was to separate private feelings from public expectations. And most importantly, they talked honestly. At one point, Jimin asked, "Do you really want my love?" Jungkook looked at him. Yes. Jimin's expression softened. What? Jungkook smiled. Because you are you. That isn't an explanation. It is to me. Jimin laughed quietly. You're impossible. And you're still here. I am. Then maybe that's enough for now. Jimin nodded. Maybe. The days that followed were filled with small changes. Nothing obvious. Nothing dramatic. But somehow, everything felt different. Jungkook became more honest. Jimin became less afraid of silence. They still teased each other. They still argued over ridiculous things. They still laughed during rehearsals. But sometimes their eyes met across a crowded room, and neither needed to say anything. There were moments when Jungkook wondered if Jimin understood what he meant. There were moments when Jimin wondered whether Jungkook was waiting for him to say something more. Neither rushed. Neither forced the other. Their relationship remained rooted in trust. One evening, after another long rehearsal, they found themselves alone again. Jimin sat on the floor, exhausted. "I can't feel my legs." Jungkook laughed. "You said that last week. And I meant it. You're still standing." "Barely." Jungkook handed him water. "Drink." Jimin accepted it. "You always do that." "Do what?" "Take care of me." Jungkook shrugged. "Someone has to." Jimin smiled. "You know, I think I understand now." "Understand what?" "What you wanted." Jungkook became quiet. And Jimin looked at him. "You didn't just want me to love you." Jungkook waited. "You wanted to know that you mattered." Jungkook's eyes softened. "Yes." Jimin nodded. "You do." The words were simple, but they meant everything. Jungkook looked away for a moment, trying to hide his smile. "Say that again." Jimin laughed. "You heard me. I want to hear it again." "You're greedy." "Maybe." Jimin shook his head. "You matter to me, Jungkook." Jungkook smiled. "And you matter to me." For a while, they simply sat there. No cameras. No stage lights. No expectations. Just two people who had spent years growing beside each other, discovering that sometimes the most important kind of love was the kind that gave you permission to be honest. Jungkook eventually asked, "Are you still afraid?" Jimin thought about it. "A little." "Me too." "What are you afraid of?" "That things will change." "They probably will." Jungkook looked at him. "That isn't comforting." Jimin smiled. "But change doesn't always mean losing something." Jungkook stayed silent. "Sometimes," Jimin continued, "change means understanding something you already had." Jungkook smiled. "You become very wise." "I know." "Who taught you?" "Life." "That sounds dramatic." "It is." They laughed. The tension finally disappeared. Outside, the city continued moving. People hurried home. Cars crossed the streets. Lights turned on in apartment buildings. And inside the quiet studio, Jungkook realized something. He had spent so much time worrying about whether Jimin could love him in the way he wanted that he had forgotten something more important. Love wasn't always about receiving a perfect answer. Sometimes it was about being brave enough to tell someone they mattered. Sometimes it was about staying. Sometimes it was about listening. Sometimes it was about choosing honesty over fear. And sometimes, love was simply sitting beside someone after a long day and knowing you didn't have to pretend. Jimin stood up. "Come on." "Where?" "Home." Jungkook picked up his bag. "Together?" Jimin smiled. "Together." They walked out of the room. The hallway was quiet. Jungkook followed beside Jimin, their steps matching naturally. At the elevator, Jimin suddenly stopped. "Jungkook." "Yeah." "I'm glad you told me." Jungkook smiled. "I'm glad I did too." The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. As the doors slowly closed, Jimin looked at him. "Maybe you don't have to wonder anymore." Jungkook raised an eyebrow. "About what?" Jimin smiled. "Whether you matter to me." Jungkook's smile became warmer. "I'll try not to." "Good, but I might still ask." Jimin laughed. "I know." The elevator descended, and for the first time in a long time, Jungkook didn't feel like he was chasing an impossible answer. He had wanted Jimin's love. What he discovered was something deeper. He wanted Jimin's honesty, his trust, his presence, his understanding. And most of all, he wanted to preserve the bond they had built through years of shared memories. Whatever the future brought, they would face it carefully. Not because they had all the answers, but because they had finally stopped being afraid of the questions. This story was never really about a dramatic confession. It was about two people discovering that sometimes love begins with a simple sentence. You matter to me. And sometimes, that sentence is enough to change everything. Disclaimer: this is a fictional, fan-created story inspired by public figures. It is intended for entertainment purposes only and does not claim that the events, conversations, emotions, or relationships described actually happened. There is no factual or official confirmation that Jungkook or Jimin experienced these events or expressed these feelings. The following weeks passed quietly, but something had changed between Jungkook and Jimin. Neither of them talked about that night in the practice room again. At least, not directly. Yet somehow, the silence between them no longer felt uncomfortable. It felt like an understanding. One afternoon, after a particularly exhausting rehearsal, Jungkook remained seated in front of the mirror long after everyone else had left. Jimin noticed. "You're staying again?" Jungkook looked at him through the mirror. "Maybe. You always say maybe when the real answer is yes." Jungkook smiled. "You know me too well." Jimin walked over and sat beside him. "That's because I've known you for a long time." Jungkook nodded. "Long enough to know when I'm lying?" "Definitely." "That's dangerous." "What?" "Because I can't hide anything from you." Jimin looked at him. "Maybe you don't need to." Jungkook's smile faded slightly. The words touched something inside him. He turned toward Jimin. "Do you really mean that?" "Yes." "Even when I'm complicated?" Jimin laughed softly. "Especially then." Jungkook looked down. "I don't know why I keep wanting reassurance from you." "Because you're human. That's simple." "Sometimes." Jungkook sighed. "I used to think wanting someone's love meant being weak." Jimin shook his head. "It doesn't." "Then what does it mean?" "It means you care." Jungkook looked at him. "And if caring makes you afraid? Then you have to decide whether the person is worth the fear." Jungkook smiled. "You really have an answer for everything." "No." Jimin's voice became quieter. "I just know what it's like to be afraid of losing someone." Jungkook didn't respond immediately. Instead, he asked, "Were you afraid of losing me?" Jimin looked away. For a long time. Jungkook's eyes widened. "What?" "Because people change. We changed." "Yes. But we're still here." Jimin smiled. "Exactly." That evening, they left the building together. The streets were busy, but they walked slowly. Jungkook looked at Jimin. "Do you remember when we first became close?" Jimin laughed. "I remember thinking you were annoying." "You thought I was annoying?" "You were." "And now?" "Still." Jungkook laughed. "That's terrible. But you're my favorite annoying person." Jungkook stopped walking for half a second. Jimin continued forward before realizing Jungkook wasn't beside him. "What?" Jungkook smiled. "Nothing." "You're smiling. I like that." "What?" "Being your favorite." Jimin's expression softened. "You are." Jungkook caught up with him. For a moment, neither said anything. Then Jungkook quietly asked, "Can I tell you something?" "Of course." "When I said I wanted your love." Jimin looked at him. "Yes. I wasn't asking you to become someone different." "I know. I was afraid you would think that." "I never thought that." Jungkook nodded. "I just wanted to know that I had a place in your heart." Jimin smiled. "You do." Jungkook looked down. "Thank you." "You don't have to thank me." "I want to." Jimin gently bumped his shoulder against Jungkook's. "Then you're welcome." The moment was small, but Jungkook carried it with him. Later that night, He lay awake thinking about their conversation. He realized that what he had wanted all along wasn't a dramatic declaration. He wanted certainty. Not certainty about the future, just certainty that Jimin would still be there. The next morning, Jungkook received a message. "Jimin, are you awake?" Jungkook smiled. "Jungkook, yes." A few seconds passed. "Jimin, can I see you?" Jungkook sat up. "Jungkook, now?" "Jimin, if you're free." "Jungkook, I'm free." They met at a quiet cafe. Jimin arrived first. When Jungkook entered, Jimin waved. "You came quickly." "You asked me to." Jimin smiled. "I know." Jungkook sat across from him. "What's going on?" "Nothing bad." "Then why do you look nervous?" Jimin took a breath. "Because I want to tell you something." Jungkook became completely still. "What?" Jimin looked down at his hands. "Remember when you asked whether I was afraid?" "Yes." "I realized something afterward." "What?" "I was afraid because I didn't know what you wanted from me." Jungkook listened carefully. "And now?" "Now I understand." Jungkook waited. Jimin looked directly into his eyes. "You wanted to know whether you were loved." Jungkook's expression softened. "Yes." "And you are." The words were quiet, but they landed heavily. Jungkook smiled. "Thank you." Jimin shook his head. "Don't thank me yet." "What?" "Because I want you to understand something." "What?" "You don't have to earn your place beside me." Jungkook stared at him. "You already have it." For several seconds, Jungkook couldn't speak. He looked down, trying to hide how deeply those words affected him. Jimin noticed. "Are you okay?" Jungkook nodded. "Yeah." "You look emotional." "I am." Jimin smiled. "Then it's okay." Jungkook laughed softly. "I hate when you make me emotional." "What?" "Because then I can't pretend I'm strong." Jimin leaned back. "You don't always have to be strong." Jungkook looked at him. "Neither do you." Jimin smiled. "Maybe we're learning that together." Jungkook nodded. "Maybe we are." The conversation continued for hours. They talked about the past. They talked about mistakes. They talked about moments when they had misunderstood each other. They talked about how easily people could assume they knew what someone else was feeling. And they promised something simple. If they ever became afraid again, they would talk. If they ever felt hurt, they would say it. If one of them needed reassurance, the other would listen. No promises about a perfect future. Just a promise to be honest. As they left the cafe, Jimin suddenly asked, "Jungkook, are you happy?" Jungkook smiled. "Right now?" "Yes." He looked at Jimin. "Very." "What?" "Because I don't have to wonder anymore." Jimin smiled. "Good." Jungkook walked beside him. Then he quietly said, "Jimin, yes. I think I finally understand what love means to me." Jimin turned toward him. "What?" Jungkook smiled. "It's not about having someone completely." Jimin listened. "It's about being grateful that they choose to stay." Jimin smiled. "That's a beautiful answer. I learned it from you." "I never said that." "You didn't have to." They continued walking. The afternoon sun followed them down the street. And for once, Jungkook wasn't thinking about what might happen tomorrow. He was simply grateful for today. Because sometimes the heart doesn't need a grand ending. Sometimes it only needs reassurance. Sometimes it needs a familiar voice saying, "I'm here." And sometimes, when two people have spent years building trust, the most beautiful kind of love is simply knowing that neither of them has to walk alone. Disclaimer: this is a fictional, fan-created story involving public figures. The dialogue, thoughts, emotions, situations, and relationship dynamics are entirely fictional and are not presented as real events or statements by Jungkook or Jimin. This story is created solely for entertainment and fan fiction purposes. Disclaimer: this video/story is a fictional fan-made creation for entertainment purposes only. The characters, dialogue, situations, emotions, and events presented in this story are entirely imaginary and should not be interpreted as real events or actual statements made by Jungkook, Jimin, or any other BTS member. This content is not affiliated with, endorsed by, or officially connected to BTS, HYB, Bigot Music, or the artists mentioned. We respect the artists and their real lives, and this story should not be used as a source of factual information or news. This is fan fiction, not real news.